Hello everyone, this is Shlok, and this video is going to be a primer or an introductory look at critical reasoning that we often encounter in the SNAP in the NMAT exams. And today our goal is to develop certain frameworks, certain common processes that we can apply across question types, and that will help us become question agnostic. So we'll first try to understand some basics and then move on to solve a couple of questions to see the kind of common traps that CR often throws at us. Additionally, in the pinned comments, I'll be sharing some useful resources, especially in the grammar and the RC and the CR sections. And in addition to that, I'll be sharing a vocabulary list which I've curated over the course of several months, which contains words that I've seen being repeated several times in mocks and different Aeon articles. So, with that, let's get started. So the first point I wanted to discuss is what is CR and what is being tested and what do the exams want to know about us when they're asking us a CR question. And I think the key point here is that are we able to understand what the author's main point is? Are we able to distinguish between the premise and the conclusion? And are we able to understand which statements are cursory or peripheral to the argument and which are the ones that are imperative or those which actually have a bearing on the argument. So with that in mind, we can start developing a framework which will help us solve or approach any kind of CR question. So the first step in order to crack any CR problem is for us to differentiate between the premise and the conclusion. And for that, we need to understand what a premise and a conclusion is. The premise is what supports the conclusion, is what leads to the conclusion. And the conclusion is what the main point of the author is. It is what the author wants us to take home. So once we are able to distinguish between these, we'll be more effectively able to tackle any type of question type. Once that is underway, I remember looking at one of GMAT Ninja's videos a few years back, and what he said was was something that has stuck with me ever since. Is the fact that you don't want to find the right answer, but you have to find four wrong answers. And how is that foolproof comes from the fact that many a times people go by a hunch. They feel that maybe this is the right answer, but that is not how CR questions work. Many a times the right answer is the one which does not look appealing at the first glance. So it becomes very, very crucial that we approach questions through this framework where we eliminate each and every option and then we arrive at the right answer. So with that, if we have a certain level of understanding of what CR is, we can start looking at a few questions and start doing as many questions as we possibly can. So, in order to get started, I've included a couple of questions in this video which we can look at to get started in our CR journey. So, to start off, the first is a question that I've picked up from the NMAT official mocks. And yeah, take a look, take a gander at this question, and pause this video and let's start once you are done with this. So, what is this argument discussing? What is let's say a summary of this argument is that because of the lack of necessary understanding of sports, bureaucrats and politicians have made some wrong decisions as heads of sports institutions. And when you look at this argument, it is a fairly straightforward argument. But once we look at the options, we understand that how the options can be closely framed and how we can feel that maybe more than one options out of these is correct. So let's look at the first option. The first option says that the bureaucrats can become the heads of sports institutions, but not politicians. So this is a classic critical reasoning trap, which is the trap of unwarranted comparison. So the argument nowhere really compares bureaucrats with politicians, and nowhere really says that one is more effective than the other. So this option can be straight away eliminated for that. But the main key takeaway is that you need to identify certain points. For example, this point shows you how an option is wrong because it does an unwarranted comparison. So that becomes a part of your traps reservoir, or let's say some of the things that you look out for. Coming on to the second option, all bureaucrats and politicians are responsible for the wrong decisions made. So as soon as you look at the word, let's say all, or the word only, your bell should your let's say your bell should start ringing. You should feel that, okay, maybe I should be more alert with this option because there are certain words that make this option extreme. For example, all bureaucrats and politicians are responsible for the wrong decisions. Nowhere in the question stem are we talking about this. So this again becomes an extreme option and we can eliminate it. Coming on to the third one, the government should replace all bureaucrats and politicians with new faces. Again, this also repeats the same error that we just saw, which is that of an extreme option, all bureaucrats and politicians with new faces. That is really unnecessary, and that is that is an extreme step. Coming on to the fourth one, the heads of different sports institutions should be persons who are involved in the sports. So this is also strongly worded. I will not deny that. This says that the heads of different sports institutions should be persons who are involved in the sport. So should is a very strong word. But again, this might be the correct answer because there is no outright red flag that I can see in it. So let's park it aside. And then when we come to the fifth option, we see the government is not making the right decisions and should be changed immediately. So because of just one thing, which is that there are wrong decisions being made in different sports institutions, we cannot arrive at the conclusion that the entire government should be changed. And there may be other positives to the government, and there may be n number of factors that affect whether a government should stay in power or not. So this again becomes a very extreme step which should be eliminated. So with that, we come to our answer as the option number four. And how we arrived at this option was by eliminating all the four options. So I think that becomes crucial. And the key learning from this particular question is the fact that we need to understand and we need to learn from not just the right answer, but we need to understand what makes an option wrong. Once we have enough collective memory of how all the different wrong options have been framed, whenever we look at a new let's say a new question, we start to understand that how the pattern is emerging, and that I think is the most effective way of approaching CR. So let's now take a look at the second question, and please take a gander at it, try to solve it once, and then let's start solving it together. So, summarizing the argument, Zoo X wants to borrow a tiger from Zoo Y, but Y refuses, stating a certain reason, and X counters that reason, but still Zoo Y refuses to allot them the tigers. So, looking at the first option, the officials at Zoo Y do not lend their animals to other zoos. As you can already see, this is nowhere stated in the argument, and this can straightaway be eliminated on the basis of it being out of scope. Looking at the second one, the officials at Zoo Y have concerns that the officials at Zoo X did not address. Now, this option does not give us any solid reason as to why Zoo Y is, not agreeing to lend their animals to Zoo X. But there is no outright red flags to reject this one, so we keep it aside. Next, the third one. It is not possible for a zoo to maintain climatic parameters in an artificial environment. So nowhere is it mentioned that this is not possible. In addition to that, we cannot even infer this based on the statements given because we do not know what exactly were the concerns that the officials at Zoo Y were facing, because of which they refused the request of Zoo X. So because of that reason, we cannot directly infer this statement. Coming on to the fourth option, tigers need large spaces in which to live, which an artificial environment cannot provide. Again, very similar to the third one, there is no direct indication that this is the case, and this cannot be inferred for that exact reason. And E is that an artificial environment with climatic parameters ideal for Tiger X cannot be created at Zoo X. Now, this may seem something that is correct the given all the premises that we have been given, that the fact that Zoo X, the climatic conditions do not suit it, and maybe that is the reason why Zoo Y has denied the request. But that, as we can understand, is not really the answer to this question, and the reason for that is nowhere is it mentioned that that exact reason is the reason why the officials at Zoo Y are denying that request. So we come back again to the second option, which states that there are certain reasons or there are some concerns that have still not been addressed by the Zoo X, which is why the Zoo Y is still reluctant to lend them the tigers. So I think that becomes our option. So many a times the correct option may not give us any specific reason or any concrete information, but it is the best option that can be inferred based on the information that we have been provided. So I think that's a little bit about this question. And I hope I was able to give you a gist of how you can approach CR, or how you can start looking at a question and how you can build your how you can build a framework, how you can build processes that help you eliminate certain options coming forward for CR questions. With that, we come to the end of this video, and I hope I was able to give you an introduction to the critical reasoning section and how you should not be worried about the details and the sheer number of question types there are, and how you shouldn't be worried about the endless theory there is, and only focus on doing as many questions as possible. Try to do the CR Bible. Maybe you can skip a few bits in between, but and try to come to the points which actually matter, and try to solve as many questions as you can and learn from those questions. Not just learn from the right option, but also learn from the wrong options. So that's it. That's about it from my side, and I wish you the very best for the upcoming Omid season. Thank you.